My name is Jim. I work here at Wobbleworks 3 Doodler. We are an international manufacturer and distributor and seller of 3D printing pens. We really started looking at ERP. We already had NetSuite account, but we started looking at it more like a project, an ongoing continuous improvement. And I would argue that both Herman and Donald gave us perspective, which we didn't have before. And we're not there yet, but we're slowly moving away from Google Sheets, certainly myself, into obviously all the reporting resources that NetSuite can help us with, saved searches and all of the other setups that you can do. And give us another year or so, and I think we're going to be in a really, really good position. Well, like I said, we were very manual and very, very hands-on in the past, but that's also an inefficiency, certainly in my opinion. And I think what Herman and Donald introduced to us in the beginning is that it doesn't have to be that way. And the path forward to reaching at least some sort of satisfactory automation and I guess continuous reporting, it's actually not that long. It's not as difficult as it might sound or seem at first. So when we started, we actually, like I said, we had a previous instance of NetSuite, which we looked at very much in an ad hoc way. We weren't taking care of it. Our inputs were inaccurate. Obviously, that means your outputs are going to be equally or more inaccurate. Once we started moving into a new instance with the help of Herman and his team, we started really understanding the power of that, I think. And since then, obviously, we're taking much, much more pride and ownership of the inputs, and also understanding the way that the system manages and massages that data into producing better outputs. I think that's where we are now. It's still obviously an uphill climb because there's always continuous improvements that we want to make. But Herman and his team really managed to get us to think about it like a process. And obviously Donald then comes in and sort of provides vision and perspective onto really how long it should take or what we should really think about this like. And yeah, it's been a good experience so far. I obviously I think that's it's kind of like a turnkey type of tool, like it's going to help unlock so much efficiency. One of the aspects which we've struggled with in the past has been sort of procurement planning and being more accurate in forecasting, because we really didn't know where to take where our sources for demand was. And it's just in the recent, I would say in the last probably 6 months, we really started thinking about this deeply. And we've gotten to understand all of the sort of micro variables of this multivariate problem. And now that we have obviously Herman on board working with us on implementing demand planning, I think the accuracy of what we're going to be able to provide to the procurement team is going to be that much better. And we're finally and hopefully going to understand our sort of baseline gross requirements, which has always been tricky in the past because we've always solved it manually. And hopefully going into the next year, this is something we don't have to do manually anymore. I find myself being much more interested in learning about the functionalities than just solving problems, which is what it was before, right? And I think that goes without saying, and it also goes for the rest of the team. I think everybody's feeling quite a lot more motivated to learn the ins and outs of it rather than just problem solving all the time. And that's something that didn't just happen magically. I think it happened over the course of many conversations with Herman and his team, but also the encouragement from Herman and his team to do so. Obviously, prior to working with OnePack, everything was very ad hoc. Our consultancy was very ad hoc. Communications were quite poor and inconsistent. Whereas now everything is literally an email or a WhatsApp message away, and that type of flexibility has definitely planted some good seeds in my head. Look, we're always in the business of treating customers right. We do believe in the zero moment of truth. So if you go back to the whole demand planning thing, having the right things in the right places at the right time is, in my book, the way we treat customers better. Right? It's not necessarily how our customer service team or I communicate with, let's say, a buyer from Amazon. That's not really where we're improving. I think that's external to ERP, but having the right things at the right time in the right places is really the key, certainly for e-commerce. Not running out of stock. Obviously, that's the worst of the worst. Or having to really sell your brand short by proming because you've overstocked or any such thing. So I think it goes hand in hand with treating ourselves right, but also treating customers right. So number one would definitely be, I would say, project for us, putting things into projects rather than ad hoc. There's a willingness to create roadmaps, which are really strong. It's a strong tool for us. Perspective is another thing, but also accuracy. I think Herman, as busy as he can be sometimes, he does take extra time making sure that values or any inputs are accurate. Because the last thing that he wants to do is to go back and resurface an old problem just because he or I or anyone else missed the digit. So that would be the few things. If you look at the flexibility that Workato provides, not just for our e-commerce solution, but whatever environment you're working in, whatever platform you're working on, having OnePack work with Workato to automate, communications and interpretations between two vastly different systems have been really a game saver for us. I think in our e-commerce, in our own web shop. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to get back on our feet when we moved into a new instance as fast as we did. We're talking a matter of weeks versus a matter of months having to let's say script it all. And Workato plus OnePack provided that sort of one-stop shop platform for us to springboard that project.